Sometimes I wish that I could be a robot, but then I ask myself, would I even be human if I couldn't feel anything?
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
If I find my way home, yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. If I find my way home, yeah.
Thanks for checking out Slaynuh Sofa, the podcast created to be your peace among the pandemonium. Today we have my first official listen topic, mental health matters. I hope that you guys are doing well, and each time I make a podcast, I want to check in on you, so comment below how you're doing, what your week has been like, what your day has been like. So I'm going to ask for one bruise and one band-aid from each of you. So one bruise would be something this week that hurt you or affected you negatively in some way. And one band-aid is something that healed you or made you feel just a little bit better, provided you with some comfort for today, this week, or sometime in the present moment or recent history. Well, I will start out because every great leader leads. One bruise would be having to think about the money that I'm going to have to spend to get books once I go back for the spring semester. But I also, try to find all the deals and everything, so I'm not going to be paying an arm and a leg for anything. A band-aid would be me seeing the snowfall this year, right here at the beginning of January, because as I said before, I'm from Connecticut, used to snow, but since moving down here to North Carolina, I haven't seen it a whole lot, so it just kind of gave me a little reminder of home. So again, please comment below one of your bruises for the week and one band-aid as well. Like they say in church, I don't want to hold you long, I won't be before you long, so let's get right into this. Before we get into any type of deep discussion of anything, we have to define terms. So, courtesy of World Health Organization, I found a definition of mental health that I like. What is mental health? Mental health is defined as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to her or his community. So when we think about this definition, or any definition that you find and may think you like more than this one, we have to ask ourselves, do any of these qualities apply to us? Or do any of these qualities not apply to us? And maybe why? Again, transparency is the best policy. So briefly, I'm just going to let you guys get a little look into, I guess you could say, my journey to recognizing, realizing, and appreciating mental health. I was born in Yale New Haven Hospital, which is in Connecticut, and I was raised primarily in West Haven, Connecticut. I lived in North Carolina for 2 years, so I attended kindergarten and first grade there. West Haven, Connecticut. Growing up, and even today, I have such an amazing life, in the sense that I have an abundance of blessings. I'm happy. I have a prosperous life. I have supportive family. Once again, the people I mentioned in the first podcast. Growing up, I also had a lot of friends, and I was genuinely happy, but I felt complacent in my accomplishments, personality, and growth overall. And now that I look back, I was really hard on myself, because I was in elementary school and middle school and high school when I was thinking these things. I was like, I don't know what I was thinking I needed to accomplish at 10 or 11 and, even early teen years, but I was kind of hard on myself, but I felt complacent and stagnant. And again, that can be really good, wanting to grow and wanting to be more, but you have to appreciate where you have come from and how far you've come in order to get where you want to be ultimately later on in life. And again, I have those supportive people in my life who are constantly pouring into me, letting me know that I am doing great. I'm making the progress I need to. I'm making the steps that I need to. But in a sense, we can't say social media or media in general is the blame, but we have to recognize that what we see and what we watch can impact how we feel and how we think a lot. So I was one of those people who loved Disney Channel. So I was watching shows like I just needed to think a little more realistic. Years ago, my parents bought a trailer in their name in North Carolina, and that was always an option in the back of their minds. If anything were to happen, we could always return to North Carolina because we'd have a home there. And so it came one point in time in November 2013, which was my junior year of high school. My parents notified, my brother, my sister, and I that we were going to be moving back to North Carolina. And the time frame of everything was a little all over the place. I want to say maybe a week before we actually left, they told us. I don't know. It could have been longer than, I don't know. But the point is, it wasn't a whole lot of time to alert us, to get our brains to think, oh, this is really happening. This is real. And to be completely honest, I was half excited and half sad because I was willing to experience these new adventures, new people, be reunited with some of my family who I got to see for summers when I'd visit. But I also wasn't ready at the same time to leave the only life that I knew and loved, especially with such short notice. So leading up to me actually leaving, I will admit that I was in denial about the entire thing. I told my friends as soon as I found out, this is what's happening, this is real. But I'd be sitting in class and just thinking to myself, oh, well, let me just do this assignment. Tomorrow I'll do this, do that. It wasn't really resonating within me that in a few days, this will no longer be the life that I know. So the departures and goodbyes that I gave to people, some people I wish that they would have been a little bit more heartfelt, a little bit more, I want to not say meaningful because I did mean what I was saying, but I don't think I recognized the gravity of what was happening at that time. We arrived in North Carolina Thanksgiving Day 2013. When we first got to North Carolina, my brother and I attended D.H. Conley High School, which is located in Greenville, North Carolina. I was blessed to be blessed with a teacher by the name of Mrs. Smith. And I know it was nobody but God who sent her to me and who allowed us to meet because her story was so similar to mine. She was originally from New York, so up north like me, and she moved to North Carolina. Her parents also sort of uprooted her with very short notice. She said one day she went to school, she came home, and there was a U-Haul in her driveway when she got home the same day. And it wasn't like that for me. I at least knew a little bit sooner in advance than she did. But the point was, it was very immediate and with short notice. She told me about her own personal experiences, so moving down south and being culturally shocked and things of that nature. And she would talk to me every day. We'd have intellectual, genuine conversations. I got to learn so much about her, and she got to learn so much about me as well. So I would literally go to school every day, and I would look forward to talking to Mrs. Smith and the conversations that we had. Mrs. Smith, if you're out there listening, I want you to know that I love you, and you affected me positively more than you'll ever know. However, I absolutely hated D.H. Conley. Of what was happening at that time. To me, it felt like I was living a segment of a old movie film where, the school was still segregated because different people of different colors were, not sitting together and weren't even talking to each other really in class. And we all know that in schools, people have their cliques and people they stick with, but it was just something completely different. It was as if these people all went to the same school, but they did not even recognize that people that did not look like them went there, and they didn't make an effort to even acknowledge their presence in a good way or a bad way. And that's not even the icing on the cake. My brother and I were both in high school at the time. So we were trying to, get into classes so that we could, have good grades and not let anything on our transcript reflect that we weren't going to school. But it wasn't until way after we got to North Carolina, after my parents fought for our right to education, and that is the absolute truth what it was. Until they fought for our education to say that our children are going to school here. They need to go and, they need to go to school. And they finally listened to what we were saying and took it seriously and signed us up for a few classes because they were arguing that during the time frame when we got there, it would fall onto winter break or something like that. But essentially, they were denying us our right to education. And this is backed up with people who are, experts, lawyers, people who have, college degrees who I spoke with. They were literally denying us our education. One of my cousins by the name of Denisha, she attended the high school, and she, tried to, just be as great can be, which she was. And she introduced me to her friends, one of them by the name of Kiosha, who is so sweet and wonderful. And I also met one really nice girl while I was there who I had a history class with. But it was just not the place for me at all. It was very toxic. Again, as I said, it felt very segregated. It was not welcoming. It was not inviting. And I still felt isolated and alone, despite being surrounded by, I want to say,
I felt like I was underwater without oxygen and couldn't swim to the surface.
And again, I am not a licensed professional of any sort, so you can really take what I say with a grain of salt if you would like to. It's up to you. But I know myself, I know my body, I know my emotions. And what I did not recognize until I came out of it was what I was experiencing, and it was depression. Webster defines depression as a mood disorder marked especially by sadness, inactivity, difficulty in thinking and concentration, a significant increase or decrease in appetite and time spent sleeping, feelings of dejection and hopelessness, bouts of depression. And when I consider this definition in terms of when I first was dealing with this issue, moving to North Carolina, I saw all of these within me, with the exception for inactivity. I became a pescatarian in 2013, specifically in July of 2013. So when I coupled my eating habits, which specifically mean I only eat seafood, when I coupled that with exercise, that's when I really saw improvements in my health that I really enjoyed. And although I went from a size large to a small, it was the fact that I felt better on the inside. I felt more energized. That is why I was exercising. And it just so happened that I was exercising while I was dealing with this mental state. So it was definitely an outlet for me, a release for me, and it was a healthy one. I would do intense cardio workout 5 to 6 days a week, and I definitely felt better. And I saw myself becoming a better version of myself that I liked. So that would definitely be advice. If you're going through anything mentally, find activities that you enjoy that will get your mind off of what you're going through, because they will really help you improve in whatever way you want to, but also give you a break from your mind. Senior year of high school, my brother and I transferred to a high school within another zone in another town. And this high school was called Bertie High School. And I was back in a predominantly black setting, but I still kind of felt out of place because I felt that most people there seemed to appreciate commonality. So I walked in the first day of school with blonde crochet hair, and I soon found myself to be the black sheep in the bunch until people saw me comfortably in my own skin wearing bright hair colors, so they did the same thing. I mean, I had gray box braids in January of 2015. Senior year was when I met my boyfriend Ishmael, and he turned my world upside down in the most best way possible. I know that was not quote unquote correct grammar, but it's, people say it in some dialect, but like, I'm getting tongue tied just talking about him. Like, I love him so much. It doesn't matter if I'm in a mentally good place, in a mentally bad place. Like, he loves me all the same. He helps me through all of it. He cracks jokes that make me forget about what I'm feeling. He is just a wonderful person. The craziest thing about senior year of high school was I did not know that there were people who did not like me. And I really, for why? And I have credible sources that can back this up and tell me that people were talking about me behind my back. And this is old news, old milk. I really do not care. But it's just crazy to think post-graduation, the same people that can be talking about you are still in the same place, 3 years later? And I'm not downing anybody, what anyone is going through, how anyone is handling situations. But it's just crazy how you can talk about someone that you don't even know, and they're still going on about their lives, because life is going to go on with or without you. And the same energy you put into talking about people who you probably can't even pronounce their name, because people are like Shania, Shina. My name is Shayna. It's just crazy. The same energy you put into worrying about the next person could be put into bettering yourself, bettering your future, bettering your life. And one friend that I truly did make at Bertie High School was Clint Connor. He attended the STEM high school, but I took some STEM classes and I had one with him, and he's a great, wonderful person. We're still in contact today. Say all of that to say, we must correct people when they come for others' characters incorrectly, and you know it. I've been in situations where people will speak rubbish, and I will not let it slide. In your storms, you're going to learn so much about yourself. You're going to find who you thought was for you and who was never for you, because it'll become clear as day. No matter what you're going through, for the most part, you're going to see who's walking into your life when the sun is out and who's leaving when the clouds start to show up. My best advice for that is to not get bitter, get better. Of course, you're going to be upset. Someone you thought that was riding for you was only there when the car was nice and clean. They weren't there for you when you had to push the car or when you had to walk or take the bus. But recognize that as you elevate in life, different people will not be there for you for the ride. And sometimes they're not meant to be. Sometimes they're just jealous and they don't want to be there for you. But realize and recognize that everyone you start with is not who you're going to end up with. And that really hit me going through mental trials and tribulations, because I would see who was there for me when I needed them, who wasn't there. And also who would reach out to me when I didn't even reach out to them, but they just knew that something was wrong. And not everybody is, apt to doing that or, has that keen knowledge to do that. But definitely appreciate those who do. In being in that state that I was in, I found out different things about myself. Going through what I was going through, I found comfort in my best friend, Ariana, my best friend, Devonna, my best friend, Skylin, friends who I know will always have my back. And it'll always be the same when we return to each other. Chris, Kelly, Marissa, Janisha, Jasmine, and I cannot forget my male best friend, Darren. When I was going through my storms, especially when I first got to North Carolina, he just always knew what to say and how to say it. He got me through some of my darkest days. And we don't talk on a daily basis, and that's with a lot of my friends. We don't necessarily talk every single day, but the love has never left, and I appreciate you guys so much, and I love you all so, so, so much. Thank you. And my friends all give me pieces of them in different ways that make me a better person. Ariana is such a person of inspiration for me. She inspires me every day to be a better version of myself. Devonna, she just is so silly and full of life and reminds me of what childhood was like. Skylin just brings such a calm demeanor to everything. Chris, he kind of shows me to not take things too seriously all the time. Janisha, who I call my walking journal, she is so optimistic. She always knows what to say. Anytime I have anything that I'm asking for advice or just venting to her, she's just so optimistic and really lives truly to my tattoo, optimistic. Jasmine is just so playful and always reminds me to smile. Kelly and Marissa show me that distance does not define a friendship. They show me that even miles apart, I can still feel the love, I can still feel the support and the encouragement. And when we link up again, it's as if I never even left Connecticut. People may ask me, how did I get through past mental health bouts that I've had? Exercising, reading and writing, those are two things I've always loved to do. But going back to that, it was escapism for me. And the best part about coming to North Carolina single-handedly, I found God. Just that simple name, me saying it can bring me to tears, because if you guys knew where he brought me from mentally to even be able to do what I'm doing today in different aspects of all the accomplishments I have, all the achievements I have, all the positions I've taken on, It is because of him. It is because of the strength that he has given me. Through my home church, White Oak Missionary Baptist Church in Grimesville, North Carolina, I was baptized, and I found out in detail the love of God and his son and the Holy Spirit. And it just has carried me through so much. His phone reaches towers that no phone company can ever get to. If you don't have even a phone or a phone plan and your phone doesn't have service, you can still call God and talk to him. Whether it's 1 a.m. or 1 p.m., he is going to answer. The type of God that I serve can be reached without Wi-Fi, without any type of connection. All you need is yourself, him, and that vulnerability, and he will be there for you no matter the time of the day, no matter where you are. Nothing. It doesn't matter whether you can get to him, whether you have gas in your tank or you don't, whether it's a full tank or not, whether you have $100 in your bank account, $1,000, 1 cent, if you're in the negative, guess who is always around? Guess who will always be there for you no matter what? And this is me speaking for myself. There's no way I'd be able to get through anything that I went through or anything I'm currently going through without him. I just don't know how other people can get through it, can do it without him. When I gave my problems to him, I became a new person. When I realized I didn't have to carry all of the agony and the stress on my shoulders, I just felt so much more comfortable and as if I could accomplish any and everything that was tossed my way. Am I mentally healthy now? Fall 2017, the first semester of my junior year at ECU, it took me by storm and was by far the hardest semester ever so far, mostly in a mental way. The depression resurfaced, but opposed to being numb like the latter part of high school, I felt everything. And if you're in college, you know that college is a different breed of depression, and I had more free times on my hand. I would either bury myself in my work all day, or I would sleep for the most of the day. I would eat, binge watch shows for hours, stuff like that. But I knew that something was wrong within me in September, actually some days before my birthday. But I couldn't get an appointment with the counseling center. I finally mustered up the courage to walk in during their walk-in/crisis hours on October 16, 2017, literally 1 month after my birthday. I talked to a counselor for like a quick mental check-in, and I got scheduled for 3 workshops for COPE, which is a program that teaches, students and groups how to cope with issues like depression, anxiety, whatever they're dealing with. And the first date for like my official one-on-one appointment with a current counselor was November 16th, 2017. And, we all watch movies that they're like waiting in the waiting room for, a diagnosis of some sort to be called back, and they're so nervous. But guys, I'm being so honest when I say when I was waiting to be seen, I was waiting as if I was getting ready to walk into a doctor's office and they were about to tell me, your life is pretty much over, like count your last days. Like I felt like I was getting a diagnosis that I didn't have a lot of time left. Like that's how scared I was to just wait to be seen by anybody. And there were instances in my head in that very moment when I felt like getting up out of my seat and just running out. I said to myself, you push this to the back of your brain for a while. You can do it just one more semester. But I could not have made it through that semester had I not gotten help. And I should have gotten it sooner. But the point is that I got it. I needed it. And I'm so grateful that I was brave enough to stay in my seat, even though I was on the edge of my chair, my legs shaking, my hands trembling. I knew I needed to woman up and do it. So what? I really want you guys to know. So what? I really want you guys to know that mental health issues, they affect people of all colors, ages, identities, religious backgrounds, and so much more. I think that the root of the issue for Black people and other minorities, at least, stems from a lack of a support system. Now, I'm blessed with people who recognize mental health as a real thing, but still, that doesn't matter to someone with depression, high functioning anxiety, bipolar disorder, etc. No matter how much love comes our way, we still feel that, sting of illness, especially within the Black community. We have got to start calling things for what they are. And again, I'm not a licensed professional. Most people listening aren't. So I'm not saying walk around and saying you look at a person like, oh, he's schizophrenic, she's bipolar, she has depression, this and that. No, but we have to recognize what people's emotions are and try to help them rather than outcasting them or ostracizing them because of how they are feeling and thinking. Little Johnny, let's just make up that name. He may not be sleeping in class all day or eating 2 trays of food because he's lazy or greedy. Maybe he's presenting signs of depression. And baby Jane isn't extra because she doesn't want to be around dozens of people for her mom's dinner party. Maybe her anxiety gets the best of her in environments like that. And again, I'm not saying we need to slap a diagnosis label onto any and everybody that we see, but we've got to be more attentive and sensitive. Am I mentally healthy now? I feel like weights have been lifted off of me because the semester is over, but the looming feeling may probably always be there, especially since I have no idea what my calling in life is at this point. The truth is that I'm never going to be perfect, but that doesn't stop me from always being better than the person that I was yesterday. I'm not sure if my depression or high functioning anxiety will ever go away, but I tell myself every day that I can do whatever I want in my life and deal with my mental ailments. So one thing that I learned in one of my cope workshops is to say and, not but. So don't say, for example, I have bipolar disorder, but I want to be an actress. Say, I have bipolar disorder and I want to be an actress. And add in there, I can and will be one. Don't use that but because you set up yourself to believe because of this, I can't do this, which is not the truth. And the key is you have to tell yourself this and you have to believe this. I'm a firm believer that thoughts become actions. So what you think is what will become physical, what will become tangible, what will become true. If you tell yourself every single day, I am stupid, you are going to start doing, quote, stupid things. You are going to start acting in stupid ways. If you tell yourself, I am ugly every day, you're going to look in the mirror and say, wow, I'm ugly. You're going to go to wherever you're going in your life. You're going to go to a party. You're going to go to an interview. You're going to step out and look at yourself and say, oh, I look ugly. Why is she looking at me? I look a hot mess. I should have stayed home. This and that, the third. But if you tell yourself, I am special, I am important, you are not going to put up with anything that people give you. You are going to say, look, I'm not being bougie. I'm not being this or that. I know what I'm going to put up with and what I'm not going to put up with. You might not know what you want in life, but you know what you don't want to put up with. So do not put up with a person, a job, an opportunity, anything that you don't like. Just because you don't know what you want, that does not mean you have to put up with anything. And if you do know, that's great. Don't put up with it just because that's the only thing you see right then and there, because God gives us rejections. He gives us exceptions. He gives us delays. Then so we can go to our relay. You just have to believe. You have to be a firm believer in not even Christ if you're not, religious. You have to be a firm believer in yourself and be a firm believer in your thoughts and actions. And there's probably science somewhere to back up what I'm about to say, but I am wholeheartedly behind the argument that what you tell your brain and what you train it to believe is what you'll physically do. So again, you have to, what I like to say, train your brain. And guys, please be a friend to everybody. And I don't mean that you have to have lunch with every face that you see or exchange numbers with them, but something as small as a smile or a wave or even a hug can literally be the best part of somebody's day. You don't know what someone is going through. You don't know what battle people are enduring. You don't know what demons people face every day. And I'm not saying it's our job to, hold the hand of every single person. I'm not saying that at all. We are all adults and we have our own issues, but it doesn't hurt to be a friend. It doesn't hurt to be nice. It doesn't hurt to be helped in some type of way and to help others. And I understand that everybody has their days and everybody shows love and affection in different ways, but why are you mean mugging every person that you walk by? Why? Courtesy of 5 love languages. The first one is words of affirmation. Quote, this language uses words to affirm other people. The second one is acts of service. Quote, for these people, actions speak louder than words. The third one is receiving gifts. Quote, for some people, what makes them feel most love is to receive a gift. Number 4 is quality time. Quote, this language is all about giving the other person your undivided attention. Lastly, number 5 is physical touch. Quote, to this person, nothing speaks more deeply than appropriate touch. And let's point out that people can receive love in certain ways and give love to other people certain ways, but you have to be mindful of how do other people receive love and how do they want love to be given to them. So you need to know all of this, and especially take this into consideration with people with mental health issues, because you don't know what makes them feel loved or what makes them feel unloved. So if you know these people personally, it's good to get to know them and just see what ways can comfort them. Sometimes it's just as simple as asking them, what can I help you with? For me, like, one thing that like really always just would like just put me in such a smooth, easygoing mood. My mom would ask me, what do you need from me? What do you need me to do? And even if what I needed to be done was something I know that she couldn't do, is something that I had to physically do myself, just knowing that someone cared and was willing to commit their time to me to try to help me, it just calmed so much inside of me and soothed so many seas. And my dad, he is also a Virgo. We are literally 10 days apart, with our birthdays. He just like, we have this, I want to say like some type of telekinesis in a way. Like he just knows when something's bothering me. He just knows when something is wrong. And I know that I can always turn to him, and he just always knows what to say. Like God, like he really is a powerhouse for faith in God, because you have to believe, you have to know God, you have to love God. Like just, he gets you through so much. And I'm so grateful for my dad instilling that in me from a very early age. Another tip that I will give to you all is learn your resources and use them. Oftentimes, some people will refer to God as their counselor, and I clearly am always all for that. But I truly believe that he placed fleshly counselors and psychiatrists and other people who have that knowledge, that expert knowledge. He put these people on this earth to do nothing but help us. So for me, it becomes a problem when we have the people who are so set on religion that they say, oh, well, just talk to God about it. That is a great tool for some people, but sometimes it requires going further than talking to him. Again, like I said, he put these people on this earth to do nothing but help us. Whether that means for some people just talking to a professional, some people that might mean medication. Who are you to judge, and who are you to say what is going to help someone? So if you have people in your life that are telling you this is what you need to be doing for your mental health, you need to tell them, check yourself and come correct, because you don't know what's going on inside my mind. Who are you to tell me what I need? And you can only carry around that agony for so long until you erupt. So seek help before you reach that point. A tip that I will scream until I die is understand what being human means. Different personalities handle life differently, clearly. So, some people will literally drive themselves up a wall if they're not around somebody else for most of the day. I am the complete opposite. I love people and I love expanding my mind, but I will burn out like a battery if I'm overstimulated. I don't like to text or talk on the phone like all day. And I love eating alone, 7 or 8 times out of 10. So respect your introvert friends who like to retreat to their own territory. Introverts, don't feel like you owe the world an explanation or reasoning for everything that you do, but also don't push people too far out. And never automatically equate somebody not talking to you as frequent as they usually do as, quote, cutting you off or, quote, being fake. How about try checking in on that friend's current mental state? Also, check in on your strong friends because they get weak too. Don't always expect somebody to spark conversation with you. A good friend will sometimes have to push that envelope just a little bit to get that levee to fall. As Jessie J said in 2011, it's okay not to be okay. Don't always feel like you have to wear a mask of merriment because you won't live in a perfect world, and you don't. If you find yourself in situations with people where you constantly feel like you have to put that mask on and then remove it when you leave, chances are you're in a toxic environment. So find a support system that's going to always be in your corner. A few people who I turn to, especially during my mental, trials and tribulations. Since coming to college, I've made best friends, truly. Brittany, Jalen, Cece. When all else fails, they have proven time and time again that they are wonderful people. Our conversations are full of so much substance, and we just are there really to inspire each other, to motivate one another, to continue pushing each other, saying, hey, you can do this, you can get through this. I know it's hard, I know it's tough, but 5-10 years from now, this won't even matter. You'll be such an even more of an amazing person. You just can't see it right now, but know that I love you and I believe in you. Temple is just so sweet, wonderful. She's a great person. She brings such a breath of fresh air and radiance to my life. Kirthana and Carly show me there are so many different folds to versatility. They show me that the comfort zone is a trap, whether that's being comfortable around certain people, certain religious backgrounds, certain ideals. They show me that there's so much more to life than the bubble that people choose to stay in. There are other people who, of course, support me and love me, but in a certain special way, these people really, truly touch me, and I know that any time of the day I can count on them, I can depend on them, and I hope that they know the same. Since coming to college, I've truly found a net that I feel protected and I feel loved and I feel accepted in, and I'm so grateful that I chose to come to East Carolina University. I will never be one of those people to romanticize mental illnesses, so I'm never going to say that depression is beautiful or anything like that. But the beauty that came out of it is that I had so much time to be to myself, to be alone, that I learned how to love myself truly more than I ever had learned how to before. I knew what it meant to love, I knew what it meant to be loved, and I knew what it meant to love other people in different capacities, whether that's a friendship, a relationship, a bond of any type. I learned all of that. And it truly takes going through something to appreciate something, to appreciate the people in your life who love you no matter what, to appreciate people who just check up on you just to see how you're doing. There are people in the world who literally want nothing from you. They just want you to be happy. They want you to be good. And at first that was a scary idea for me to accept, but I see that I am emulating those same characteristics and wanting the same for people with absolutely nothing in return. And it's just so beautiful. When you are alone, you just find out so much stuff about yourself and about others in so many different capacities. If you have dealt with a mental health issue, or you currently are, and you of course feel comfortable doing so, I'm not forcing anyone. If you want to just go comment below some of your experiences, your journey to being mentally healthy, or you want to message me or anything, feel free to share it with me. And let's acknowledge the fact that this journey is not one that has certain destinations, like, I'm here today and 3 years from now it'll be done. No, this is something that's ongoing. Your mental health is going to build upon itself over time. This is something you have to work on every single day, because there is not an end destination. It's just something ongoing for your entire life that you have to be paying attention to. So never get discouraged. There will be days when you feel like you've backslided in your mental health, but just realize that each day is a new opportunity to right a wrong. So never give up on yourself. Acknowledge how far you've come and be appreciative of that, also while working towards being better. It may not seem like it, but I promise you, you're going to make it out on the other side, to tell your story, to dance with victory. It may not seem like it, and you're allowed to feel it. As my mom says, own your pain, own it. How you are feeling is valid, and it may not seem like you'll ever get out of this, but I promise you, take it from me, You will get through it. You will come out of this and you will be on top. You got this. I'm telling you, you got this. If anyone asks me, does mental health matter? Yes, it does. And it's probably more important than physical health. They're both important, but what good is a body if the mind isn't right with it? Aside from that, know that nothing gets easier necessarily. You just become more resilient to withstand weathers. I'm going to leave you guys with this quote from Happy Place. And if today all you did was hold yourself together, I'm proud of you. And this part that I'm about to say comes from me. And if today all you did was not hold yourself together, or you even maybe got yourself some help, I'm proud of you. Questions, comments, and concerns are invited and encouraged as always. That's all that I've got for you today. Go out and get in your go yard. Stay low and stay solid.